What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Cards of Greed TCG. And for today, we're going to be opening up the latest structure deck to be released in the TCG, the Albaz Strike structure deck. But before we get into that, I want you to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and turn on the notification bell to be notified when all the latest videos drop. Alright, now that's out of the way, let's get back to the main reason we're here. This structure deck is the latest to be released in the TCG, and in my opinion, it's probably the best one. Like, this is up there with the Shaddolls, the Salmon Greats, the Dino structure decks, especially since it is a meta-defying deck. This structure deck not only bumps up Despia from like tier 2 to fully tier 1, also gives that support to Despia's, like I was just talking about, and it gives all the support to Albaz, which is a cohesive part of the Despia deck. But this deck not only does that, but it also gets a lot of staples reprinted in the set at a common. But I also like this deck because there are special token cards that dive into the lore of the cards from, because Albaz not only centers around the Albaz archetype and Despia, but it has the lore behind both of those, the Tri-Brigades, the Dogmaticas, the Spring-Ins, and the Sword Souls, and I believe the Ice Jades as well. And then the two new archetypes that are going to be coming out later, the Splites and the Therians, which go with the Tri-Brigade, or not Tri-Brigade, but the Spring-Ins archetype. Their lore's all connected, which is pretty cool since Konami has really been on like a lore binge as of late, especially if you're playing Master Duel. You know the solo mode is nothing but all the archetypes lores, so I'm hoping they will do this, all the lores eventually, for the Albaz, Dogmatica, Spring-Ins, Tri-Brigade, Despias, what else was that? Sword Souls, Ice Jades, Therians, and Splite. But that will definitely probably be the longest one, besides the World Legacy that they did with the World Legacy Mech Knights and Crawlers. But enough of that. Let's get into the deck itself. Let's check out the playmat before we get into the cards, because I did see like the artwork already before all over IG through all the Yu-Gi-Oh news. So this is what the playmat looks like. You got the two new boss monsters that you get in the structure deck, Mirror Jade and Lubellian. The artwork on this is so amazing, like just the detailing on it. So, and I know on the back it not only shows like how to combo with the structure deck itself, and then what packs to get to power it up. But as you see right here, it got like the art story behind it. Got Fleur de Lis, aka Iris Sword Soul, with Ecclesia, Aliber here, Ecclesia and Albaz. Then you got Mirror Jade and Lubellian here duking it out. Then you got what looks to be Dramaturge and Iris Sword Soul battling over here on this side. And speaking of Iris Sword Soul, I actually have her right here on the playmat as well. Thought it'd be fitting to use this playmat with it. Alright, on to the deck itself now. Alright. does not look like mine has the little... Oh no, it does. Right on the front, though, instead of the back like usual, to make it easier to rip off the plastic for the decks. Yeah, look how nice that looks. Fresh. And as always with new cards, always gotta get that smelling. Love that new card smell. As always, sniff cards don't do drugs, kids. And here's the first card of the new deck. We got Mercurier, or Tri-Brigade Mercurier, as a ultra rare. It's pretty cool because this card actually reminds me of this old mechanical bird that was in like the OG Clash of the Titans from the 60s, if you ever heard of those movies. This reminds me of like a mechanical owl they had in that movie. And then you got Springen's kit, like Tri-Brigade kit, but this time she's a Springen's card. Or actually, let's go over the effects too, since I know these help Albaz. With Mercurier, when your opponent activates a monster effect while you control a fusion monster that mentions fallen Albaz as material. Quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or face up on the field to the graveyard. Negate the effect if this card is banished. You can add from your deck to your hand one fallen Albaz or one monster that mentions it, except Tri-Brigade Mercurier. So it's a good hand trap to be able to always add in Albaz to your hand, which is always good to have since Albaz can super poly any of your opponent's targets away just by being summoned. And Springen's kit as an ultra as well. If you have a fusion monster that mentions fallen Albaz as material on your field or in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal special summon, you can add to your hand one of your branded spells or traps that is banished or in your deck or graveyard. Then place one card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. So this is really good at getting your branded spells and traps, which is actually pretty big, especially with the new branded spell that's going to be debuting in this deck, as well as getting all your other ones like branded opening or drama or Despia, the Theater of the Branded. Then you got the Golden Sword Soul, which actually features Adin and Theo of the Dogmatica, which is a level 4 spellcaster tuner, so this can go well with Sword Souls as well, basically, hence the name. So it's a good level 4 tuner for them. When a monster declares an attack, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, negate that attack. And if you control a fusion monster that mentions fallen Albaz as material, you can destroy the monster that declared the attack. If a monster is banished face up, except during the damage step, you can banish this card from your graveyard, or from your field or graveyard. Special summon one light spellcaster monster from your hand or graveyard, whose attack equals its own defense. You can only use this effect of the Golden Sword Soul once per turn. That's actually a really good effect, because not only the Albaz effect, but also that last effect where you can special summon a monster that has, a light spellcaster, because that is, I believe, what Ecclesia is, and her attack and defense are the same, so you can get either Dogmatica Ecclesia or the Virtuous in White Ecclesia, which is really good since that can combo well with Albaz itself. And one of the two main boss monsters that I was talking about, Mirror Jade the Ice Blade Dragon. It is a fusion monster, obviously a level 8, and its materials is one Fallen of Albaz plus one fusion, synchro, Xyz, or link monster. So it'll be a good target to take out any of your opponent's boss monster that they have, since it can basically use any extra deck monster. You can only control one Mirror Jade the Iceblade Dragon. Once per turn, quick effect, you can send one fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard that mentions Fallen of Albaz. As material, banish one monster on the field. Also, this card cannot use this effect next turn if this fusion summon card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card. You can destroy all monsters your opponent controls during the end phase of this turn. So if your opponent's able to just get rid of Mirror Jade, you basically can just nuke the board. So you can get a free and clean sweep of their board. And then you got Lubellion the Searing Dragon, which is one dark monster plus Fallen of Albaz. So pretty much any Despia monster or any dark monster in general that your opponent plays too. So it's good in the mirror match as well, since this can be another target besides Starving Venom with the dark typing. If this card is fusion summon, you can discard one card, fusion summon one level 8 or lower fusion monster from your deck, extra deck except Lubellion, by shuffling fusion materials mentioned on it into the deck from your monsters on the field, graveyard, or face up banish cards. Oh, that's actually pretty good. So you can use material for fusions from either your field, graveyard, or in your banish pile, and just reshuffle them back into your deck so you can get them back into your deck. That's not bad. For the rest of this turn, this card cannot attack. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusion monsters. You can only use this effect. So that last part doesn't really matter, since typically with Despias and Albaz, you're only playing fusion monsters in the extra deck minus like one Verte. And here's the branded spell I was talking about earlier. Branded Fusion. This card is basically a should-all fusion, just without the restriction of your opponent must have a extra deck monster on the field. So you can fusion summon a monster using monsters from your deck with Branded Fusion. It's basically like Fusion Destiny and Red Ice Fusion, just 10 times better. Since fusion summon one fusion monster that mentions Fallen Albaz as material from your extra deck using two monsters from your hand, deck, or field as fusion material. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusion monsters the turn you activate this card. Again, that last part doesn't really matter since your extra deck is mostly going to be all fusion monsters. So this card is so broken. You can combo this well with Branded Fusion, then you go into like a Branded in red to bring back your Despia monster and get back, and then Fusion Summon again. So it's going to be a good combo line, or combo starter. Or actually not starter, but an extender in your combo line. Branded Sword is the new branded trap that you're getting in this deck. Banish any number of branded spells and traps from your graveyard. Special summon that many Iceblade tokens that are Dragon, Dark, level 8, attack 2500, defense 2000. You banish this card from your graveyard, then target one of your banished monsters that is Fallen of Albaz or mentions it, and add that monster to your hand. You can only use one branded sword effect per turn. So that's not bad, but I probably only seen this playing at 1 at most, since traps are still pretty slow right now. Branded Retribution. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated that includes an effect that special summons a monster, Return to the extra deck one face-up fusion monster you control or 2 fusion monsters in your graveyard that mentions Fallen Albaz as material. And if you do, negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one branded spell or trap in your graveyard except branded retribution. Add it to your hand. You only can use one retribution effect per turn and only once that turn. So that's not bad. It's basically another solemn card, essentially, since you can negate any of the special summons. And then for the reprints now, we got Albaz, of course, since he's the main man of the deck. Albion the Shroud Dragon, which is basically another Albaz. Then you got Dogmatica Fleur-de-Lis, the Knighted, which is actually really weird to see as a common, which I'm going to be saying about all these cards, pretty much all these extra cards in the deck. Red Eyes Darkness Metal, another great card. Thunder King the Lightning Strike Kaiju. Chaos Dragon Levianeer. Radion the Multi-Dimensional Kaiju. Artifact Scythe. White Dragon River Buster. Black Dragon Collop Serpent. Starleash Safer. Keeper of Dragon Magic. Summoner Monk. Ghost Ogre. Effect Veiler. Omni Dragon Brotar. And then one of the other newer spells that's being introduced in the deck, Branded Loss. It's a continuous spell card. The activation of your cards and effect cards that include, or your cards and effects that include an effect that fusion summons a fusion monster, cannot be negated. Also, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when a monster is fusion summoned this way. If you fusion summon a fusion monster, you can add one Fallen Albaz or one monster that mentions it from your deck to your hand. You only can use this effect of Branded Loss once per turn. That's actually really good since it basically means your branded fusion can't be negated, branded and red can't be negated, Despia, the Theater of the Branded, can't be negated, Super Poly can't be negated, Albaz can't be negated. Anything that can fusion summon can't be negated, which makes this deck so much more powerful. Branded in White, another reprint. Branded Bond, yet another reprint here. Fusion Gate, Fusion Recycling Plant, Fusion Substitute, Golden Sarcophagus, Pot of Extrav as a common right here. Jeez, that's weird. Called by the Grave, such a good staple, along with Called by, or Pot of Extrav. Another good staple here, Dark Ruler No More. Streams of the Branded, another reprint. Judgment of the Branded. Necrofusion, Back to the Front. Definitely a good staple as well. Warning Point, another good staple that's being reprinted as a common in this deck. There Can Only Be One, yet again, another good staple that's being reprinted as a common in this deck. And definitely relevant in the meta, especially against like combo decks like Tri-Brigade. D-Barrier, another good staple card that can pretty much control the format. Waking the Dragon, and then we're on to the extra deck monsters. And again, it's weird seeing these monsters as common since I'm used to seeing them as ultras, secrets, which I have them all in ultra or secret since Despia is one of my favorite decks to run, which I will most likely be doing a deck profile since I got all Sorry about that. Had some technical difficulties, but I'm back now. This is, like I was saying earlier, Titanic Clad as a common reprint's weird. Brigran, another one that's was weird to see as a common. Spring, not so much, since I believe he was only a common when he got reprinted. Then you got Albion, again, wasn't common before. And here's what I like, the tokens. You got Albaz right here himself. Then you got Ecclesia, the Exile, which they actually form a picture right here if you can't see. Like, that artwork's just nice. You got both of them under probably the, I forgot what the name was. I think it was like Golgonda something, Serpent of Golgonda, something like that they're standing under, because in the Judgment of the Branded card you see Golgonda getting destroyed by Iris Sword Soul. Then you got Tri Brigade. Oh, I should actually read the lore on them too. Does this name refer to a past buried in darkness or to a bright future? A pure white heart to be filled with many memories, with thoughts of coming days in mind. The girl gives a name to the boy. And then you got Tri Brigade. Got all the Tri Brigade cards. On this one token, look like they're about to drop the hottest album of the year. Ready, Aim. Then you got the Virtuous Vestals. You got Sword Soul / Fleur de Lis and Ecclesia right there when they were in their Dogmatica days by the looks of it. Sometimes like a kind sister, sometimes like a strict teacher, the bond is always there, even while far apart. Then you got Albaz the Dogmatic. A thing separated from the abyss, it mocked the light and deceived the darkness. So that was the structure deck. Let me know what your opinions on the structure deck was in the comments below. And how do you think this deck will, or how do you think the meta will be after this deck is released? Let me also know down in the comments. And before we end it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, turn on the notification bell to be notified when all the latest videos drop. And yeah, that's it. Peace, y'all.